A very common human challenge is trying to judge whether we've done things right or wrong based on external input, mostly other people's reactions, other people's feedback. And while that can be good to consider, it's going to shift from person to person and situation to situation. So what we're seeking is to be able to have an internal anchor based on our values, who and how we want to be in an authentic way based on what we believe in the depths of our spirit. And so I'm going to introduce you to a different type of anchor, a internal and central anchor by which you can navigate all of your interactions and ways of being with people that isn't based on everyone's opinion and shifting consensus. So first we're going to talk about the hook. The hook is the emotional weather trap. Have you ever noticed how much power we hand over to the other people that we love? Think about a relationship in your life right now. Maybe it's with your child, your partner, a parent. You walk into the room and your mood instantly reads theirs. If they are warm, smiling, and validating, you feel like a good parent or a good partner or a successful person. You feel safe. Suddenly, though, what happens when you walk in and they are cold, distant, snapping at you because they had a bad day or because they're dealing with their own internal storm? Suddenly, your internal weather changes. You might find yourself scrambling to fix their mood, walking on eggshells, people-pleasing, or conversely, getting defensive and angry. At the end of the day, you lay in bed and you're thinking about your worth and evaluating it based entirely on how they reacted to you. If you live this way, you're letting someone else's unpredictable mood determine your identity. Today, we're going to talk about how to stop operating as an emotional mirror and how to find an internal center instead. So let's go ahead and look at the core contrast. We're going to talk about thermometers versus thermostats. To understand how to fix this, you have to look at the differences between two simple devices, a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer is entirely passive. It has no internal choice. If the room is hot, the mercury rises. If the room is freezing, the mercury drops. It simply reflects the environment around it. When we measure our self-worth by a daughter's or a spouse's or a friend's reaction, we are acting like thermometers. If their mood is 100 degrees of anger, we match it or freeze up. We have followed external subjectiveness to rule us. A thermometer is different than a thermostat. A thermostat functions from the inside out. A thermostat has a set point, an internal standard. It assesses the room, yeah, but its job isn't to become the room's temperature. Its job is to maintain its set point, regardless of the outside weather. In psychology, that set point is called your values. Values aren't about what you get from someone else. They aren't about forcing your daughter to smile or ensuring your family member approves of you. Those are outcomes, and you really can't control outcomes. Values are about who you want to be and how you want to show up, even when the room is freezing cold. So let's talk about the guilt trap. When healthy decisions meet bad reactions, this shift becomes incredibly difficult when a family member expects something from you that you simply cannot, or maybe even should not, give. I want you to imagine a situation where your loved one asks you for something. Maybe it's a demand for your time, financial help, or an expectation that you're going to step in and fix a problem that they created. Deep down, you check in with your values. You look at your capacity, you look at your own mental health, and you realize, providing this would be unhealthy. It would be enabling, or it would be completely deplete me. So you say no. You set a loving, firm boundary. The family member gets angry, of course. They accuse you of being selfish, cold, unsupportive. They use words specifically meant to sting. And suddenly, that internal thermometer shoots up. Even though you know your choice was the healthy one, you are flooded with this intense guilt. You start tossing and turning at night, questioning your choices. Am I actually a bad person? Should I have just given in to keep the peace? This is the exact moment where we confuse feeling guilty with doing the wrong thing. When we operate from the external subjectiveness, we treat their anger as proof that we've failed. We assume that if they're upset, our boundary must have been wrong. But their reaction is based on their expectations and their current inability to handle disappointment, not on the objective rightness of your choice. Their anger doesn't change the truth of your choice. It just confirms the weather in their room. When you anchor in your center, you can allow someone to be disappointed without adopting their disappointments as your identity. I want to say that again because it's really important. When you anchor in your center, rather than externally, you can allow someone to be disappointed without adopting their disappointment as your identity. So let's shift the question. Let's move from outcome to integrity. So how do we practically move from being a thermometer to a thermostat? We have to change the questions that we ask ourselves in moments of tension. When you're caught up in the trap of external reaction, the question running in the background of your mind is usually, how do I get them to react better to me right now? Or what did I do wrong to make them act this way? When you shift the internal integrity and it becomes internal rather than external, the question becomes, regardless of their current mood or words, who do I want to be in this moment? Or how do I want to show up as a mother, father, a partner, or a person right now? Let's look at the parent-child dynamic. If your value in that relationship is patience, consistency, and loving boundaries, then that is your set point. For instance, if your daughter comes home, slams the door, and gives you one-word answers, a thermometer reacts to that coldness by getting cold back, or frantically trying to people please to fix it. But a thermostat checks its internal set point. You think, my value here is to be steady and available. So you say, I see you're having a pretty rough afternoon. I'm here if you want to talk, and I'm going to give you some space. You stay steady. The room is cold, but your thermostat stays set. So we need to move to a new self-evaluation. Here's the hardest but most liberating part of this whole journey. You have to change how you score your day. If you measure yourself by external reactions, you only win the day if the other person is happy with you. That is a game you're sure to lose, because human beings are subjective, moody, and they're going through their own parallel lives. Instead, you evaluate yourself based on internal integrity. At night, you don't ask, did my daughter have a great day and validate me? Or did my family member agree with my boundary? No, you ask, did I act according to my values of patience, self-respect, and presence today? If the answer is yes, then you acted with integrity. Even if they were moody, even if they rolled their eyes, even if they expressed anger, you can sleep peacefully knowing that you controlled the only thing you actually have power over, your own character. You are no longer riding the roller coaster of someone else's emotional day. You are anchored in who you are. Let's take a moment today to define just 2 core values for your most challenging relationship. Write them down and decide how you want to show up before you walk into the room and before the next request is made. Be the thermostat. Set your temperature, hold your center, and let your internal integrity be your anchor.